The soft hum of my apartment was comforting that evening, a rare quiet after the chaos of the workday. I sank into the worn armchair by the window, feet propped on the edge, scrolling absent-mindedly through my phone. Rain tapped gently against the glass, each droplet tracing slow, unpredictable paths down the pane. Outside, the city lights shimmered through the mist, giving the streets a surreal glow. It was the perfect backdrop for a moment of solitude, but of course, solitude rarely lasted long when Emma was involved.
Emma.
The very thought made my chest tighten. Not because I was nervous about her in general. She was vibrant, warm, and relentlessly teasing. But because tonight, a simple comment from her had ignited a chain reaction I hadn't anticipated. Earlier that day, she had glanced at me across the office cafeteria, smirked, and said, almost offhandedly, "You'd look cute in something different." Her words had lingered far longer than they should have, echoing in my mind, creating a flutter of anxiety and a twinge of forbidden excitement. I shifted in my chair, feeling the weight of the day settle unevenly on my shoulders. Who was I, really, in this world of casual expectations and hidden desires? To my colleagues, I was Alex, a mild-mannered, somewhat reserved office assistant, the guy who quietly handled paperwork and tried not to draw attention. But beneath that ordinary exterior was a secret I had only explored in private, my fascination with crossdressing. It wasn't a hobby I shared openly. It was a delicate, fragile thing, a part of me that existed in the shadows, alive only when I was alone and free to experiment. Work had always been a sanctuary of routine. Paper pushed through trays, spreadsheets filed with mechanical precision, and emails sent in a practiced monotone. But Emma's comment, playful, teasing, and unexpectedly daring, had cracked open that sanctuary, letting in a rush of possibilities I hadn't allowed myself to consider. Could I actually step into this version of myself in front of someone else? Could I allow Emma to see more than just Alex, the quiet office guy, and glimpse the side of me I only wore behind closed doors? The apartment felt suddenly too small, the walls pressing in as my mind raced. I reached for the drawer where I kept my small collection of clothing, wigs, and makeup, carefully hidden, cataloged, and preserved. My fingers traced the edge of a delicate blouse, smooth and silky, the faint scent of perfume still lingering from the last time I had worn it. A blush of anticipation heated my cheeks. Emma's playful remark wasn't just a joke. It was a challenge, a door into a world I had never dared to cross in public. I remembered how nervous I had been the last time I experimented alone. The meticulous process of selecting the right outfit, applying makeup with careful precision, and stepping into heels that wobbled under my unpracticed balance. It was both thrilling and terrifying. That transformation wasn't just physical. It changed the way I carried myself, the way I thought, and the way I felt. I became lighter, more fluid, more aware of the subtleties of expression and movement. And now, the thought of doing it for Emma, having her see, respond, and perhaps even flirt with this version of me, made my heart pound in a way I hadn't expected. I glanced at the clock. Emma would be home in less than an hour, and I had to decide, retreat into my ordinary self, keep this secret safely locked away, or take a leap into the unknown, risking exposure but stepping fully into the persona that both terrified and fascinated me. My pulse quickened. The thrill of possibility was addictive, but so was the fear of rejection, of judgment, of being laughed at, or worse, misunderstood. Emma's presence was already felt before she even entered the apartment. The faint sound of her heels clicking against the hallway floor, her laughter spilling through the air, made my stomach twist with a mixture of dread and excitement. She appeared in the doorway, hair falling in soft waves, eyes sparkling with curiosity and mischief. "Hey," she said, casually, though I could see the unspoken question behind her smile. "So, you gonna show me what cute looks like, or are you gonna make me wait?" My breath caught. The simple, teasing words were enough to send me into a whirlwind of indecision. I felt the weight of the outfit in my hand, the soft texture of fabric between my fingers, the anticipation of the transformation that awaited me. This wasn't just about looking cute. It was about revealing a hidden facet of myself to someone I deeply cared for and feared might see me differently once the mask was lifted. I took a deep breath, grounding myself. There was no turning back now. The decision had been made the moment Emma's words had lingered in my mind, echoing with promise and peril. Slowly, deliberately, I stepped toward the wardrobe, pulling out a carefully selected ensemble. The dress shimmered faintly under the soft light, delicate yet bold, a reflection of the duality I felt inside. As I began the process, smoothing fabric, adjusting straps, curling hair, applying subtle makeup, I felt an unexpected calm wash over me. The fear was still there, lurking, but so was the thrill, the sense of becoming something new, something vibrant, something visible in a way I had never allowed before. Every stroke of blush, every brush of eyeliner, every careful placement of heels was a step into this unknown, a moment of metamorphosis that was as exhilarating as it was terrifying. When I finally looked in the mirror, the reflection that met my eyes was both familiar and alien. Alex, the quiet office assistant, had vanished, replaced by someone brighter, softer, more daring. And behind her, in the glimmer of eyes and curve of lips, I could sense the unspoken question. Would she accept me? Would she tease me, admire me, or something more? Emma's voice broke the spell. "Wow," she said softly, her eyes widening in genuine surprise. "You really do look cute." The words hit me like a pulse, sending a shiver of exhilaration through my body. That single affirmation, playful yet sincere, shattered the last of my hesitation. I was no longer hiding. I was exposed, radiant, and trembling with anticipation. And in that moment, as Emma's eyes held mine and a slow smile spread across her face, I realized that the evening had just begun. The flirtation, the danger, the thrill, it was only the start. My heart pounded, a mixture of fear, excitement, and something I couldn't quite name, knowing that once I stepped fully into this new persona, nothing would ever be quite the same again. The apartment felt smaller than ever as I moved toward the wardrobe, every step heavy with anticipation. Emma's eyes followed me, curious but patient, as though she understood the silent storm swirling inside me. My hands trembled slightly as I reached for the dress, a soft, pastel number that promised vulnerability and allure in equal measure. The fabric slipped through my fingers like liquid, and I felt the first shiver of excitement mingled with fear. I began with the basics, smoothing my hair, brushing out the tangles, and preparing my skin for makeup. Each motion was ritualistic, familiar, yet heightened by the presence of someone whose approval mattered more than anyone else's. The brush against my cheek, the light tap of foundation, the careful curl of eyelashes, all of it transformed not just my appearance, but my entire sense of self. I felt lighter, more fluid, more alive than I had in years. Emma leaned casually against the doorframe, watching me with a quiet intensity that made my stomach twist. "You know," she said softly, "I wasn't kidding when I said you'd look cute. I meant it." Her tone carried no judgment, only amusement and curiosity, but the implication was clear. This was no longer just a private experiment. She wanted to see, and perhaps even interact with, this other side of me that I swallowed hard, aware of the weight of that attention. Every glance, every smirk, every subtle tilt of her head was both intoxicating and terrifying. I wanted to run, to retreat into my ordinary self, but another part of me, braver, bolder, was urging me forward. This was my chance to inhabit a persona that was fully mine, to explore the thrill of transformation with someone who wouldn't shame me, who might even encourage me. As I slid into the dress, the sensation of the fabric against my skin was electric. It was soft and delicate, hugging curves in ways I hadn't anticipated. I caught my reflection in the mirror and froze for a moment, stunned by the almost unreal image staring back at me. Alex, the shy office assistant, had vanished. In her place was someone vibrant, radiant, and undeniably captivating. My heart pounded, a mix of exhilaration and fear. Could I truly hold this image in front of Emma without faltering? Emma stepped closer, her eyes scanning me from head to toe, a playful smile tugging at her lips. "You really wow," she breathed. "I didn't think it would suit you this much." Her words were simple, but they carried a weight that made my knees weak. I felt exposed, yet seen, more than I ever had before. I struggled to respond, my voice catching as I whispered, I wasn't sure if I should. I mean, what if it's too much? Too much." Emma laughed softly, the sound like a gentle caress. "You're perfect. Just don't be afraid to enjoy it." That single encouragement was enough to tip the balance. I straightened, adjusted the hem of the dress, and took a tentative step forward. The sensation of high heels on my feet made me wobble slightly, sending a thrill through my entire body. I was unsteady, vulnerable, but alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. Emma reached out, gently steadying me, with a hand on my arm. "See? Nothing to be scared of," she said. The warmth of her touch, combined with her unwavering gaze, made me feel simultaneously supported and exposed. My reflection in the mirror seemed to shimmer, the persona I had created almost tangible, almost alive. We moved toward the couch, and I perched delicately, aware of the way the dress fell around me, the subtle sway of fabric with each shift of weight. Emma sat beside me, close enough that our shoulders brushed, her presence a constant reminder of both safety and danger. Every laugh, every comment, every teasing glance was a spark that threatened to ignite something deeper, something I wasn't sure I was ready to confront. The conversation drifted naturally at first, about mundane things, work, friends, plans for the weekend, but each topic carried an undercurrent of tension. I could feel Emma's eyes on me constantly, analyzing, admiring, testing. And I found myself responding differently than I normally would. My gestures were softer, more deliberate. My voice carried a higher, lighter tone without conscious effort. I was becoming her version of cute, and I realized with a mixture of horror and delight that it was working. At one point, Emma reached over and gently adjusted a stray curl of hair falling across my face. The contact sent a jolt through me, and I realized how acutely aware I was of every inch of my body, every movement, every subtle expression. I was hyper-conscious of the way the dress clung to my form, the delicate sway of the skirt, the way my heels made my posture both elegant and precarious. Every detail mattered now. Then came the photos. Emma, ever playful, pulled out her phone and pointed it at me. "Hold still," she said, snapping a quick picture. The flash illuminated the room, and I froze, the camera capturing not just my appearance, but the raw tension and exhilaration I felt. My heart raced as I realized these images were no longer just private, they existed outside my control, even if only temporarily. "See," Emma teased, showing me the photo. "You're glowing." I laughed nervously, the sound shaky but genuine. I don't know if I can keep this up," I admitted. "It feels weird but amazing." "That's the point," she said, leaning closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You've been hiding this side of yourself for too long. Tonight, it's out. And I love seeing it." Her words were both a balm and a challenge. I felt the surge of desire, the intoxicating mix of fear and thrill, the knowledge that I was stepping further into a world I had only dared to imagine. Each glance, each touch, each playful comment from Emma drew me deeper into the persona I had created. But even as I reveled in the attention, a flicker of doubt remained. What if someone else saw me? What if I lost control of this version of myself? The thrill was undeniable, but so was the danger. I realized that every moment I remained in this persona was a risk, a delicate balance between exhilaration and exposure. Emma, sensing my hesitation, smiled knowingly. "Relax," she said, nudging me gently. "No one's here but us. Just enjoy it." And so I did. Tentatively at first, then with growing confidence, I allowed myself to inhabit this side of me fully. The dress, the heels, the makeup, they were no longer just items. They were extensions of who I could be, who I wanted to be. And with Emma's eyes on me, admiring, Teasing, encouraging, I felt a freedom I had never known. Hours seemed to pass in a blur. We laughed, posed for photos, and explored the limits of the persona I had created. Each moment was both thrilling and terrifying, the stakes higher than I had anticipated. I was exposed in ways that left me vulnerable, yet more alive than ever before. And then, just as I began to relax completely, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I saw the photos, you look incredible. Can we meet?" My heart stopped. The thrill of attention collided violently with the fear of exposure. Emma glanced at me, her expression unreadable, and I realized that the evening had escalated far beyond anything I had imagined. The persona, the flirtation, the danger, it was no longer just play. It was real, and the stakes had just risen dramatically. By the time I realized how late it had gotten, the apartment was bathed in the soft glow of lamplight, shadows stretching across the walls. I perched on the edge of the couch, dress perfectly arranged, heels slightly wobbly, and a tremor of anticipation running through me. Emma had disappeared briefly into the kitchen, leaving me alone with my reflection in the mirror across the room. I caught sight of myself, Alex transformed, radiant, delicate, yet trembling under the weight of exposure. The image was intoxicating, but a sudden thought made my chest tighten. What if this went too far? What if I became trapped in this persona, unable to retreat back into the safety of Alex's ordinary life? My heart raced as I imagined the possibilities, both thrilling and terrifying. A knock at the door shattered the fragile calm. My body froze and I could feel every muscle tense. Emma was supposed to be here alone with me. Who could it be? Emma's voice called from the kitchen. "It's probably just a delivery," she said casually, but there was a sharpness in her tone that mirrored my own unease. I hesitated, clutching the edge of my skirt, aware of the dress slipping slightly under my shifting weight. My heels clicked nervously as I approached the door. Another knock, firmer this time. My pulse spiked. Emma appeared behind me, her expression calm but knowing. "Alex, or should I say?" she teased, raising an eyebrow. The teasing felt like both a shield and a challenge. I swallowed, my voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I should answer it." Emma's hand rested lightly on my shoulder, grounding me. "It's okay. Let's see who it is." With a trembling hand, I opened the door, and my worst fear materialized. One of Emma's friends, Jessica, stood there, smiling warmly, oblivious to my precarious transformation. "Hey, I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop by," she said cheerfully. Panic surged through me. I tried to adjust the dress, smooth my hair, hide the trembling of my hands, but it was too late. Emma, sensing my panic, stepped forward with a playful grin. "Alex was just getting ready," she said lightly, but her eyes sparkled with mischief. Jessica stepped inside, and my heart thumped violently. Every movement, every subtle gesture, every glance felt magnified. I was acutely aware of the fabric clinging to me, the way my heels made my stance precarious, and the delicate curve of my lips and lashes. The persona I had nurtured, adored, and cherished was now under scrutiny. Jessica's gaze flicked between Emma and me, curiosity evident. "Wow, you look different." "Really cute," she said casually, yet the emphasis sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. Emma laughed softly, clearly enjoying the tension she had orchestrated. "I told you Alex has a hidden side," she said. "And it's quite charming." I felt my cheeks flush, a mixture of embarrassment and exhilaration. Every word, every glance, every subtle reaction was a high-stakes game, and I was at the center. Then came the unexpected twist. My phone buzzed on the table, another message from the unknown number. "You're irresistible. Let's meet tonight." My breath caught. Emma noticed immediately, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Alex, who is this?" she asked, her voice playful but edged with curiosity. I froze. I don't know," I stammered. Panic mixed with thrill, and I realized I had no choice but to navigate the situation carefully. Jessica, oblivious to the tension, reached for a seat. "So, you're all dressed up for something?" she asked casually, her tone friendly but probing. Emma smirked. It's a private thing, right, Alex? Her eyes twinkled, teasing but protective. I nodded, feeling the weight of her gaze, the pulse of attention from Jessica, and the residual thrill from the messages. My hands fidgeted, adjusting the hem of the dress, smoothing the fabric over my legs, and trying not to reveal the full extent of my internal turmoil. The evening progressed, a delicate dance of flirtation, teasing, and suspense. Emma's attention was constant, her playful touches both grounding and electrifying. Jessica's friendly curiosity added a layer of tension, and every message, every glance, every subtle brush of fabric against skin heightened my awareness. At one point, I moved toward the mirror to adjust my hair, only to feel the dress slip slightly on one shoulder. A shiver of fear shot through me. Was this the moment everything would unravel? Emma stepped closer, her hand brushing against mine as she steadied the dress. Don't worry, she whispered. You look amazing. Just trust yourself. The combination of vulnerability, attention, and thrill was intoxicating. I realized that the persona I had created was no longer just an experiment. It was a part of me, fragile but undeniably present. Every laugh, every compliment, every playful tease from Emma reinforced the allure, the danger, and the excitement. And then, as if on cue, another twist, a sudden knock at the window. My body froze. Who could it be now? The room seemed to shrink around me, the dress feeling tighter, the heels less stable, every sense heightened. Emma moved subtly behind me, her presence protective but mischievous, as we both glanced toward the window. I felt my pulse spike. The evening had escalated far beyond a private exploration. It was now a test of poise, courage, and identity. Every element of the transformation, every flutter of attention, every unexpected interruption forced me to confront the duality of my existence, the safe, hidden Alex and the daring, radiant persona that Emma had encouraged me to embrace. The tension became almost unbearable as Jessica leaned closer, commenting on my appearance, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. My hands trembled slightly, the heels threatening to betray my balance, and I realized that one wrong move could shatter the carefully crafted illusion. Emma's eyes met mine in the mirror, a silent communication passing between us. It was a mix of reassurance, mischief, and challenge. You can handle this, her gaze seemed to say. You're more than just Alex. You're this. And I loved seeing it. The moment was electric, precarious, and intoxicating. Every laugh, every compliment, every teasing glance was a reminder that the stakes had never been higher. And just when I thought I might survive the evening, another knock sounded at the door, louder, more insistent, more threatening. My heart leapt. Emma's hand found mine again, grounding me, but the fear, the excitement, the thrill, it all surged in a chaotic wave. The persona I had embraced, the flirtation, the danger, the allure, it was all about to collide with the unknown, and there was no turning back. I glanced at the mirror one last time, catching the reflection of both Alex and the persona I had become. The duality was stark, breathtaking, and terrifying. And as the door slowly creaked open, the suspense reached its peak. The door creaked fully open, and a shadow fell across the room. My breath caught in my throat, the heels under my feet suddenly feeling unstable, the dress tight in all the wrong places. Emma's hand remained on mine, grounding me, but the thrill and fear surged together like a tidal wave. Standing there was someone I hadn't expected, Alex's colleague, Mark. His eyes widened slightly as he took in the scene, me, radiant and transformed, the pastel dress clinging perfectly, makeup flawless, hair styled like I had never dared before. He froze, his gaze flicking between me and Emma, who looked almost amused at his hesitation. Thought I'd just drop by, Mark stammered, his casual tone belied by the obvious shock in his expression. I could feel my face heat, my pulse hammering. My heart raced as I tried to maintain composure, adjusting the dress quickly, smoothing the skirt over my legs. all while praying that nothing would betray the secret I had carefully nurtured tonight. Emma leaned slightly toward me, whispering, "Stay calm, you've got this." Her confidence bolstered mine, but the fear was still palpable. Every glance, every flicker of reaction from Mark felt magnified. I attempted a smile, a delicate, poised curve of the lips that was more than just an attempt at politeness. It was Alex transformed, every ounce of poise and charm carefully layered over my usual self. "Hey, Mark. Didn't expect you," I said, my voice slightly higher, lighter, more feminine than normal. He blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Yeah, oh wow. You look different." His words stumbled in surprise, but there was an unmistakable hint of admiration underneath. I shifted nervously, aware of the dress slipping slightly at one shoulder. My heels wobbled, a tremor running through my legs. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, to shed the persona and hide, but Emma's steady hand reminded me. This was part of the thrill, part of the transformation I had chosen to embrace tonight. Then came the message. My phone buzzed sharply on the table. I glanced at it, and my heart leapt. Another text from the unknown admirer. "You're stunning. I need to see you again." I froze, torn between the delight of attention and the terror of exposure. Emma noticed immediately, her eyes narrowing playfully, but with a hint of challenge. "Alex, who is this?" she asked, her voice teasing yet slightly cautious. I don't know," I whispered, panic creeping in. My pulse raced. The evening had escalated beyond anything I could have anticipated. Mark's gaze lingered, oblivious to the tension between Emma and me. "So, are you going to a party or something?" he asked, trying to make sense of the transformation. I swallowed hard. Every word felt like walking a tightrope. "Just hanging out," I managed, hoping to deflect attention, maintain composure. But the truth was clear in the mirror. My persona, the radiant version of myself, was fully alive, fully visible, and dangerously exposed. Emma leaned closer, her eyes sparkling with mischief and reassurance. "Relax," she whispered. "No one's here to hurt you. Just enjoy it." I wanted to believe her, to embrace the thrill, but the mixture of fear, attraction, and exposure made it impossible to fully relax. Every detail, the slip of the dress, the wobble of my heels, the intensity of Mark's gaze, the buzzing messages, compounded into a storm of suspense that left me simultaneously thrilled and terrified. Mark shifted awkwardly, glancing at Emma and then at me. "I should probably just go," he muttered, sensing the tension but not fully understanding it. Emma smiled knowingly. "No rush," she said softly, but the teasing undertone was unmistakable. I took a careful step back, adjusting the dress again, my reflection in the mirror catching the duality of my identity, Alex, the cautious, everyday self, and the transformed persona, radiant, exposed, and dangerously compelling. I realized that this night had changed everything. The thrill, the flirtation, the attention, it was no longer just a secret experiment. It was alive, and I didn't know if I could contain it. Then, as I caught my reflection one last time before Mark finally exited, my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown admirer. "Don't hide. I want to see you like this soon." My stomach twisted. Emma's hand tightened slightly on mine, her eyes locking with mine in a silent question. "Are you ready for this?" I opened my mouth to answer, but the words stuck. My mind raced with possibilities, fears, and desires. What would happen if this secret slipped further? Could I maintain the balance between Alex and this persona? Would Emma continue to guide me, or would she push me into something I wasn't prepared for? The room seemed charged with tension, every shadow and flicker of light amplifying the uncertainty. And then, just as I thought I might gather courage to respond to the message, another unexpected knock sounded at the door, sharp, insistent, impossible to ignore. My heart jumped. Emma's playful smirk faltered for just a moment. The room held its breath. I felt the heels shift under my weight, the dress constricting slightly, and my reflection in the mirror seemed to stare back at me with wide, terrified eyes. The knock repeated, louder, more urgent. My pulse raced. Emma's hand squeezed mine. "Go see," she said softly, her tone both challenging and reassuring. I nodded, trembling, and stepped toward the door, the suspense building with every heartbeat. I reached for the handle, and then it stopped. Silence. The apartment seemed impossibly still. My reflection caught every subtle shift of my body, the tense shoulders, the quivering hands, the wide, frightened eyes, and I realized that in this moment, nothing was certain. Who was at the door? Would my secret survive another intrusion? Would Emma's teasing guidance continue, or had I gone too far? The tension was unbearable. I hesitated, hand on the doorknob, body poised between courage and fear, the persona I had embraced tonight hovering on the edge of exposure. The entire night, every thrill, every glance, every message had led to this moment, and the outcome was unknown. And then, a faint whisper echoed from behind the door. "I need to see you now." I froze. My pulse thundered in my ears. Emma's hand remained on mine, her touch a lifeline, yet the suspense was suffocating. One step, one choice, and everything could change. The story ended there, leaving the outcome uncertain, the audience hanging on the edge of revelation.